that's what comes with 2 years experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But gotta have love for the newbies.
Yeah.
We remember what it was like.
That's why I want to pay it forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey y'all, this is part 2 of conversation and a tour of Marg's Dodge Grand Caravan minivan and all things nomad.
Before you launched, when you were doing the practice travel, did you know what kind of traveler you were going to be?
Absolutely not.
It's changed over time, right?
Yes, I love that question, because if you think you're going to know it all and you're going to set up your rig the way you think it should be before you have even been out there, it's not going to happen. No, I thought I was going to be, I'd love to drive up the hill and sleep way back in the forest on my own with nobody else around me. And I tried that and I did not like it at all. So I learned that I preferred to be with a group of people. Caravans are perfect because you get your privacy and you get your people time if you want it. And I knew I wanted to be close enough to a town where I didn't need refrigeration and I could get water easily, get rid of garbage, because I have such a minimal setup. And that suited me very well. The first year and a half, I definitely went like a maniac across Canada, across the United States, all the way to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Saw every friend I could think of on the way. It was a bit manic in hindsight. However, that's part of the excitement, right?
Sure.
Second year, calmed it right down. Third year, I'm ready to spend a couple weeks at each destination.
Nice.
But each year has its own pros and cons. I have no regrets that I did my first year that way. I got a feeling for it. It does change over time, and I love listening to people that have been on the road for many years and hear how it's changed for them. And it's definitely another journey.
And in terms of like stealth camping / parking, what did you think you were going to be like in that regard?
I knew I wanted to stealth. I felt like I could cope with that, even more so than being in the forest by myself. Stealthing feels a little bit more comfortable for me. I'm a city-raised girl, and so my van is very stealth-y. There's nothing on top, there's no solar panels. I can park just about anywhere, and I've done a fair bit of it, especially in British Columbia, and it's worked out really well.
What has your solar learning curve been like?
Well, I lived on Vancouver Island for 3 years in an off-grid house, and so I had some exposure to solar in general on a large level for a home, and a backup generator and things like that. But because I've chosen not to go solar on my rig, I try to pay attention when people talk about it. I want to always be learning. I never want to discard any possibility, so I'm always listening when people talk solar. I admit, though, I don't know that much about it.
It's such a big
it is a
thing
big
to wrap
one.
your head around.
I'm just using lithium batteries, big lithium
brick.
brick. So I have a couple of those, and that's working out pretty well for me so far.
Excellent.
I don't really want to find room for a big Jackery or a Blue Eddy
And they're heavy.
Yeah. So, but never closing my mind to it. It might be something I want to look at some point.
So in nomad circles, we kind of joke about how much extra stuff people always have when they first start out. When you started, what would you say your numbers in that regard?
It was too much. Even as a minimalist, it was too much.
Yeah.
Too many clothes. Coming from Canada, I was carrying snow pants and boots and a warm hat and mitts, and I overdid it and just moved towards layering up if I needed to. And every year I make sure I take everything out and go through it. And if I haven't looked at it in a year, it's time to say thank you for your service, and I hand it off and
put it back in the circle of life.
Yes, and it's a good idea to go through all your stuff anyway, because I know where everything is in this van. And that's very comforting. That brings your confidence level up too, when you review where your stuff is and you know where it is. And I was talking to another nomad this morning, making decisions about how many tools you're going to carry. I decided not to carry too many tools. If my van breaks down, I have a different plan. A call or whatever. I carry a shovel, a hammer, and a screwdriver.
Because other people do have tools.
Right. And I found I just wasn't using them at all, really. But clothes was the hard one for me. And I continue to work on that, believe it or not. I'm trying another system this year. So it never ends, really.
No, it doesn't.
It's a hobby. Maybe we should just call it a hobby.
Yeah. The nomad hobby.
The nomad hobby, yeah.
Do you have any tips for folks who are struggling with how to get rid of their stuff in sticks and bricks?
Yeah, that's a real mountain. I would recommend doing it in stages. don't try to do everything at once. I went from a 2-story house down to living in another house somewhere else, coming back to an apartment, and then finally getting rid of everything. Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji in Canada is like Craigslist in the US. Gave away a lot of stuff. My favorite things that I didn't want to part with, I put in my brother's lake house. So I can see it when I want to see it. So that was a nice solution for some things. A couple crates at my daughter's of things that are very sentimental and I couldn't part with. But I have not missed a thing that I've gotten rid of.
That's like the unanimous answer for most folks that have been out here for a while.
And when you free yourself from all these things, it's just magical things start to happen. You know, when you clean out your life and you start to make some space. It's a wonderful journey. It can be very, very difficult. Kind of depends on your personality. You know, if you tend to hang on to things or you have an attachment to things, it can be difficult, but there are lots of ideas out there to help you. It's just stuff.
What is just one of your fondest memories from being out on the road so far as a nomad?
There's a magical time for me every day from about 8:30 to 10:30. And typically by then I've done my morning coffee ritual, which I enjoy immensely. But then when I'm on the road and I'm driving and it's quiet and the sun's coming up, I just have euphoric moments of like, I want to put my hands in the air and it's like, I can't believe I get to do this. This is so amazing. And I get that on the regular because I've learned when my best times of day are. I learned that I was a morning person. I learned that I do things that are more important best in the morning. And
as a nomad,
as a nomad, I learned that, right? Because again, when you create that space in your life, you can re-examine your whole routines. You can sleep when you want, eat when you want. You learn so much about yourself. And so I discovered my magic golden hours there, and that's definitely when I have my moments. And they're always special. I'll be in Nevada or Colorado or Arizona or British Columbia or Newfoundland or wherever. I've had that moment over and over in my nomad life, and I never got that in Sticks and Bricks. There's so much to see. The exploring is endless. The number of interesting people that you meet feels endless to me. As long as you have your health and just keep your wits about you and, you know, do a little bit of planning, but not too much. One of my goals is not to do too much planning because my whole life has been planning, right? So it's a new journey for me to let go and just do whatever comes next.
That sounds like you have a pretty well-established connection with your family. Do you connect with them every day, or what? How's your system?
Yeah, not every day, although I have a messenger chat group with just a bunch of ladies in my family, and I'll put up pictures and videos there for them of what I'm doing, and I let my brother and my daughter know where I am whenever I change locations. A video call or an audio call with my sister on the regular is very important to me. Or talking to my brothers, or yeah, I do keep in touch with them, but not every day.
Okay.
And that works out fine for all of us. Occasionally, like last year, I came off the road for a week. I was in Oklahoma visiting some family there, and I just flew my daughter down and went into an Airbnb for a week and spent some real quality time with my daughter. So those ideas can work too if you're feeling like you need to touch base with some family. Just have them meet you somewhere.
Yeah.
You can pick them up at the airport. You got your house with you. I was able to find a Canadian cell phone plan that was for truckers.
Ooh.
So truckers that go between the US and Canada.
Oh, wow.
And that's worked out really well. So my phone behaves as if I'm at home and there's no extra charges, and I can do everything that I did at home. That's been good. It gives me a bit of confidence that I can reach anybody at any time.
Yeah.
And learning how to use a personal hotspot off of that phone so that you can work on your iPad or get into a site where you might need a little bit of a bigger screen.
Yeah.
But those are just things you learn on the road.
Thank you again, Marg, for allowing me to interview you. Such a great conversation. If you missed the first part, I'll put the link to that in the description, and we'll see you down the road.